Welcome back. So today we are going to continue making our Legos in Fusion 360. The first thing that you want to do is open your old Lego file in your data panel. And then we're going to end up making a new sketch. I am going to go a little faster in this video than I did in the last few. But hopefully you can follow along or feel free to pause as we go. So let's try that again. I'm going to create a new sketch. I'm going to select my XY plane so that I'm looking straight down. The view cube will say top. I'm going to make a 2-point rectangle. And actually, I'm going to make two 2-point rectangles because I'm going to make two different sizes of Legos. Now, here is the sketch dimension tool. It can also be selected down here. We want to do 8 mil by 16 mil. So this way we can have a 1x2 Lego. So far we have our 1x1 Lego over there. This one we're going to do a 2x2 Lego. So it needs to be 16 millimeters by 16 millimeters. Okay, we're making our Legos 8 mil by 8 mil, so as we add tips to the Legos going forward, it will always be a multiple of 8 millimeters for those sizes. Okay, we're going to finish this sketch. Now, I'm going to go back to our home view, zoom in a little bit, and extrude our parts. The height of our Legos is 9.6 millimeters, so 9.6. I'm going to change the operation from body to component and say okay. Now, I extruded this rectangle, and as you can see, both sketches disappeared. Right here is our browser area. If you come down to this folder that says sketches, we can click the drop down arrow and click the eyeball next to our last sketch to make it reappear. So now that this one is back again, I'm going to select my extrude tool again. I will click on that. I will make it 9.6 millimeters tall and change it from body to component. Say okay. Alrighty, so now we have 2 more blocks that we're going to turn into Legos. I need to make another sketch. And I'm going to place it on the big one. Do you see how the top highlighted? Click the top of the block. Now we are sketching directly on the top of the block. For this, we need circles. There's one circle for that one and one circle for that one. And the circle diameter is 4.8. And we're going to do the same thing for this circle. Make it 4.8. There we go. Now it's a matter of placing them where they need to be. The directions that I've given people say make it 4 mil from 2 perpendicular edges. So that's 4 mil for this edge. And then here is a perpendicular edge. We're going to click there. Ooh. There and there? No. Okay, I hit escape to unselect it. Sketch dimension. I'm going to click to there. Now we have this and 4 millimeters. There we go. So this circle is now 4 mil from that edge and 4 mil from that edge. Since our blocks are 8 millimeters wide right here, that means it's also center of the circle is 4 mil from this edge. We're going to do the same thing over here. There. And I'm going to click my top edge, bring it over here, 4 millimeters, and do the same thing for the circle and that edge, 4 millimeters. Voila. So both of these circles are in position. I will finish this sketch. Now I will go back to the home view, select extrude again. This is 1.6 millimeters tall, and I need to make sure it's set to join. Say okay. Now I have the tip on this one, but my circle disappeared over there again. Turn our sketch back on, extrude, select our new circle, 1.6 tall, make sure it's set to join, click OK. There we go. Now we're gonna use a new tool that I have not shown you guys yet. This is the rectangular pattern tool. On my monitor screen, it shows up right here. But if you need to go into your create drop-down menu for it, come down to pattern, rectangular pattern. We will start with the smaller Lego. And for object type, we need to change it to features. For objects, see how it's highlighted for select right there? I'm going to click, there. So now the tip is selected. Now we have to pick our axes. Again, we're going to pick two perpendicular edges. So one there, one there. Something useful to do at this point is grab your arrow and pull it in the direction you want to go. This will give you an idea of what you're after. So for axis 1, I want 2 of the top pieces. For the distance, it needs to be 8 millimeters. And for axis 2, which is going this direction, we need a quantity of 1. And there we go. Now I can say OK, and we have both pieces. We're going to use the rectangular pattern tool again for this one. Go to your create drop-down menu, down to pattern, rectangular pattern. I will click, select that. And features is already selected under object type because I adjusted on the last one. Now I have to select my axes. I will do the same thing, but this time I will select that one and that one. And I will grab my 2 arrows that way and that way. So our quantity for both axes is going to be 2 and our distance will be 8. As you're doing this, if your object is oriented different or if you select your axes in a different order, you might have to do negatives or positives or switch your numbers from axis 1 to axis 2 on the first one. So play with this a little bit until you get it to this orientation and say, okay, now we have the tops for both of these. So the next step that I'm going to have you do is shell the bottoms. So in order to look at the bottom, I usually hold down shift and push my mouse wheel like a button. But another way to do it is just come over here, click and hold on your view cube and adjust your view cube. Or especially if you're using a trackpad, you can click on the corners or edges of your view cube and it will change your view like that. So now I'm actually going to hide these sketches that I don't need anymore. And I'm going to shell the bottom of these 2 parts. So I select the shell command, which is also in the modify drop down. And right there, I will click the bottom of both of these, type in 1.6 millimeters for the wall thickness. Yes. So here I'm actually introducing you guys to another tool in this same video. It's the construction lines in Sketches. Very useful. It helps you reference parts and locations in a way that won't extrude when you try to do other stuff. So we're going to create a sketch right here, also in your drop-down menu. Then we're going to select the bottom face. I prefer to use the bottom edge face of the larger Lego. And now, if you come over here to your sketch palette, go to line type, this turns on and off your construction lines. And now I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to select the line tool. And I'm going to come over here and right there, see how a square appears? That means I'm snapped to the center of the circles around it, and I'm going to do the same thing here. So I have one construction line. I'm going to click that check mark right there to finish what I'm doing. I will also do my 2 construction lines over here. And on this one, it's giving me a circle for the center point, but that is fine. We'll do there 2 right there. And I'll finish that line. I also, on this one, I find it useful to click there and there. That way we have an X. So it's very obvious where our center point is. It is right where these two lines intersect. If you look closely, you can see the triangle that appeared just above my cursor right there. That also tells me that I'm at a center point. So your next step is to turn off your construction line. It's really easy to forget to turn this on and off. Just right now, it needs to be turned off again. Come over here, create a center diameter circle. Can also be done in your drop down, center diameter circle. Now come to your small block, find your center point. That triangle right there tells us we're at the center point. And we are going to make this 3.2 millimeters. And hit enter. Voila. Now I have a 3.2 millimeter diameter circle. I'll bring that up there so I can see it. And over here, we're going to do a slightly bigger circle. I went with 6.4. Whoop. And there we go. And that gives a little bit of a gap right there, but that is fine. And that makes this circle where you have 4 around it twice the size of this one, where you only have 2 around it. Now I'm going to hit escape to deselect my circle, and I want to move this again. There we have our circles for our bottom pegs. We're going to finish this sketch, and I want to change my view just a little bit. So I'll go to home view to get oriented again, and then I will orbit to get a better view of our bottom parts. I'm going to extrude, and we'll start with the big one. Click the circle we just created on the bottom, and now come over here. See how this bottom edge highlights? Color changes when I'm on it. I'm going to click right there. So my peg is now 8 millimeters down. It's flush with that bottom edge I selected. Operation is set to join. I will say OK. And here we are again with our other circle disappeared. Turn the sketch back on. And gonna select the extrude tool again. There we go. Click my new circle. Click the bottom edge. It's 8 mil tall. Operation is set to join. Say OK. All right, and now we're gonna shell this one because it's pretty big. We're gonna do 1.6 millimeters for the wall. That way it's the same thickness as the outside parts, and hit enter. Just in case I went too fast for that, shell is over here, or it is in your modify menu. So now we have 3 Lego pieces, single 1x1 piece, 1x2 piece, 2x2 piece. And the next step that I asked you guys to do is change the appearance. So if you push A on your keyboard, this menu will show up. All of these down here are appearances that you can apply to your parts. Also in the modify menu, you can come down here, click appearance right there. Since these are Legos, I like to do plastics. And my favorite plastics for these so far are in the translucent section. And you click it once to open it typically. And then applying the materials, I click, drag, and drop. So now that's a blue Lego. I'll make this one green, and I will make this one red. And I'm going to change my view a little bit. Boom. So now I have a blue, a green, and a red Lego. I'm going to comment for myself. Finished 3 Legos. All right. And that is how we make the 1x2 and 2x2 Legos. Extrude them, put the bottom pegs, use the rectangular pattern tool. I know it's a lot, but all of these are really useful fundamentals that'll come in handy in the future. Thank you guys so much for your time. Do not forget to save your file. Sometimes it'll save automatically after you comment. 3 logos done. But I forgot to comment that time, or post my comment, and there. Now I posted it. Perfect. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll have another video out soon.